and saying, well, people drive on the left in other countries. It's a stupid fucking argument.
It wouldn't work in the courts, and even Nick knows that.
I am just pointing out facts, counselor.
Yeah,
and
you are not.
apparently
I don't
facts
trust
get in the facts get in the way of your fantasies.
I don't trust your legal opinions anymore because
I'm not giving you a legal opinion. I'm putting out facts. There's no legal opinion involved here.
So
what would happen? So what would happen?
It just gets in the way of your fantasy.
Hold on. I've got a question for Nick. So what would say Epstein didn't die and he's in court and his lawyers get up in front of the judge and jury and they say, well, Epstein's not really guilty of any of this because look at all the countries around the world in which how would that play in the courtroom?
In a U.S. court?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not going to play very well at all.
Then why are you bringing that up here?
Because the thing is, we're World Edition, we're not USA Edition. As a matter of fact,
we're talking about a U.S. issue, and you are trying to bring in all this.
We have two people here right now that are not living in the United States.
Why are you moving?
You guys are trying to push the U.S. agenda on international people.
With this pedophilia thing.
Nobody's trying to push an agenda. People have different views on a lot of different things, including LGBT rights, everything like that. But just really quickly, because I looked it up on it, and I didn't have to look it up because I already knew what it was. But since you didn't want to give a definition, it is a psychiatric disorder in which an adult or an older adolescent experiences a sexual attraction to a prepubescent children. So although girls typically begin the process of puberty at age 10 or 11 and boys at age 11 or 12, psychiatric diagnostic criteria extend the cutoff point to age 13. So they are referred to as pedophiles. So that is what the definition is and everything. So they've got a very severe problem and all along those lines. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm looking for a definition in Florida because it can differ from state to state. Because I think it's a state law issue. It's not a federal issue.
And then on top of that, the fact that you're trying to make pedophilia okay, and then the fact that it was
hold on, let's
traffic these girls, and now you're trying to.
No, you don't understand, counselor. The thing that what you're trying to say is that somebody's guilty without the correct application.
You like your
That's not how your system works.
Well, hold on. Let's get away from pedophilia. The deal is, wait, hold on. Whether or not Jeffrey Epstein would meet some definition of pedophilia, he was guilty as hell of statutory rape, where it's illegal for a full-grown adult to have sex with somebody under 18. Regardless of what your pedophilia definition is, there's a statute. And the statute says illegal to bang people under 18. And so, who cares what he is psychologically? He had a whole enterprise dedicated to him breaking the law and facilitating dozens of other rich creeps breaking the law.
Yeah, he was legitimately sexually trafficking.
Yeah, Florida actually has an interesting statute under 794.05.
Issues. And right now, Nick is doing a job of trying to justify the pedophilia as one of the issues as being okay. And then sexually trafficking the children is another issue. So what he's going to do next is begin to try and justify that as well.
Apparently, you've never read the book.
Why can't we just agree that it's bad rather than trying to justify it or make it more
powerful? Speaking
of
things being bad, I'm going to switch topics because I'm tired of this topic right now and everything. U.S. has another you're going to love, Nick. So hold on a second, because the U.S. has announced Southern Spear mission amid the naval buildup in Latin America. So one of our other favorite people, Pete Hedges, has announced a military operation to remove narco-terrorists from our hemisphere. And he's announced this thing that he's calling the Southern Spear and everything. So what is our thoughts about this? Because apparently we've also unveiled a new robotic fleet to target the cartels. And we'd already been bombing
I
fishing boats.
mean, this has everything to do with Epstein, that we're starting a war with Venezuela to distract from the Epstein stuff.
Epstein's a complete waste of time. We've all agreed to that. So now the thing is, we got to look at something very serious, which is the United States involvement with Latin America. And it dates all the way back, as we well know, Mark, to the Monroe Doctrine. Now, Russia has said if we start interfering with a bombing or doing something to Venezuela, even though they've had an illegal election, apparently, that they're going to send missiles to Venezuela. And so this whole situation could escalate. But the story is yet to be played out. So we don't know, we don't know exactly what's going to happen in terms of the U.S. involvement with Venezuela. We do know this: Venezuela's economy tanked because it's like New York. They elected a communist and he tanked the economy. Now it'll just be a matter of time to watch New York go down flames too, because when liberals get a hold of countries, they destroy them. And so they destroyed Venezuela, creating all this flood of immigrants, which didn't come from Mexico. It came from Venezuela. Now we're getting a whole new group of immigrants. They're all moving to Florida. They're called New Yorkers, okay? Escaping communism in New York. So, this is the real problem. I don't know what they're going to do about it, but it's yet to be played out.
Where did Mamdani become a communist? And by the way, we'll have a gentleman on Tuesday that'll be talking about socialism and everything like that. But I don't remember him being ever identified as a communist. And
I believe he said he's a democratic socialist. A democratic socialist, then he adopted every possible communist motif he could think of. Creating a potential flight of the freedom flight people who are going to leave New York and go to Florida.
They've been saying that for, hold on. There was actually a clip that the Daily Show did that pointed out from way back to 92, I think it was. Oh, if they get elected, they're going to leave New York. Oh, if they get elected. Yeah, that's an old, white flight thing that this scare. Let's get a boogeyman. Let's create a boogeyman and scare people. That's dumb. So if you fall for that, you're just really not really listening. So you said that he's adopted communist policies, even though you're making up all these words and saying buzzwords. Can you name one of these policies?
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you asked that question. Okay. The first one, of course, is rent control. In other words, this is government seizure of private property rights and demanding that rent control.
Like when Trump bought into NVIDIA and Intel?
No, this is real estate.
You
government securities. It's a whole different ballgame.
To do price.
I didn't see Trump instituting.
You're talking about what Trump's talking about now when he's talking about
rent control
and these other
health. Do you want me a name?
Haven't there been Republicans that have done rent control in their various states?
Yes,
Do you want me to name some other ones? How about government-owned grocery stores?
Okay, government owns NVIDIA, government owns Intel, all these other communist things that Mamdani did. Trump is doing it on the okay.
No, did he say the government-owned grocery store? Or did he say community-owned grocery store? And there are several community-owned grocery stores.
Hey! Let's talk about grocery stores. So there are thousands of grocery stores in New York City. Mamdani wants to try an experiment with 5 grocery stores, less than 1/5 of 1%. One grocery store in each of New York's 5 boroughs, where what is the deal? That they'll have like price stable, price controls or some shit. I don't know. So it's not like he's taking every grocery there. Also, New York City has had rent control for 50 years or more than that, 70 years. They have 2 things. They have rent control for buildings built before 1947 with old-ass tenants who've lived there since 1971. Those people get rent control. Everybody else gets rent stabilization for if you live in an apartment with 6 or more units built before 1974. So
you said how many years, Rick?
1974.
So I'm pretty sure there were some Republicans in New York as governors and as mayors during that time.
But yeah, so everybody who lives in Manhattan, knows people who have a sweet rent control deal where they've lived in their building for 40 years and the landlords can't raise their rent by more than 2 or 3% a year. And then the landlords do all sorts of shit to try to drive the people out. They'll put glue in their locks. They'll refuse to fix the radiator. You know, because once you drive somebody out, you can double the rent with a new tenant.
Yeah, well, let's ask our friend in Bangladesh if they have rent control, government-owned grocery stores, and things of that nature. Sharif, do you guys have government-owned grocery stores in Bangladesh and rent control?
Definitely, every country has, and we also have these kind of things. And but right now, our major and very influential topic is politics. Beside this business and all of the things, because we have elections is coming February. There is a tension in between India and Bangladesh. There is a political reformation, especially the youth community. They want to reform the whole political structure. Definitely what you're discussing about law enforcement, groceries, and all of the things is very important. But now all of the institution in Bangladesh actually reforming everything. So we need two elections. One elections actually, we call it, we have to get support from our all of the peoples. So it's need elections because the political reformation happening. Another one, we have to go for elections. So our chief advisor, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, is a Nobel laureate and a very famous economist. He said in the first week of February, we have to go for elections. And the same day, we have to go for this civil society vote for constitutional reformations. So this is very interesting moment, and what I see, not only this Bangladesh model, I think this Nepal, Indonesia, this India, this Sri Lanka, all of the people reforming their country based on this political structure, based on definitely elections and all of the things. And I believe this will be very interesting moment for youth as they're coming to power. Very interesting moment for all of the previous political institutions like USA. We are also based on two-party political solutions. But now we are observing we have different political parties. They are engaging in our politics. So the previous model of two parties political situations, they are facing challenge. I should not say in this way, but I can say politely that USA political reformation may happen. How unstable condition we observe through this Trump administrations and through the engagement. I believe that this is not bad, as USA is a very large economy and large company, communities, and the world largest defense you have, world largest corporation you have. Political reformations, good political person, good political leadership is very, very, very important. But most of the intelligent people like Nick, like Jatovi, like Rick, like all of my friends, they do not like politics. So I do not know how come you spend all of your power, all of your dignity, all of your future, a less capable guy. You are talent, you are brilliant. Why don't you take responsibility? That is the things. I'm a good fan of USA. I think USA should correct. They should invite brilliant people, because this is not the smartest that okay, I'm very intelligent, I'm not engaging politics. Perhaps this is one of the stupid strategy we are making year and year. And youth communities, they come to the power, even though your Mamdani, he is a Gen Z, he come to the power and he shows how to play with politics. Time for reformations, the whole culture and economy. This is very interesting moment for all of us.
Definitely agree with you on that and everything like that. Hey, just really quickly, coming back to Venezuela and all along those lines, apparently, and I'd love to hear Nick's thoughts around this, Maduro, the leader of Venezuela, is urging Trump to avoid an Afghanistan-style forever war, which means that that's one of the wars that goes for ever and a day and takes much too long and everything like that. And that came out earlier today. So is he just flexing his muscle, or are we getting ready to get bogged down in a war that might last longer than we think it's going to last?
Here's Sasha.
Yeah, Sasha, because he's an expert on war, not me. Go, Sasha.
I would like to tell you something. Do you remember Iraq-Kuwait war? where U.S. got up on to defend Kuwait, which was much weaker country, a smaller country than Iraq. It had a lot of oil though, and therefore U.S. Of course went to defend Kuwait. Didn't finish Iraq. It happened a few years later under his son presidency. But Bush Senior, he did pretty good job. It was shown all over the world, all those precise bombs and so on. I know a lot of friends of mine, and it was 5 o'clock, they finished job. Where are you going? Well, we're going to watch the war. Because it was all shown on CNN in real time. You could see the American tanks are roaming through the deserts or so on. Now, Venezuela. Did Venezuela attack anybody? No. Did U.S. attack Venezuelan small boats and so on, killing numerous people? In effect, yes, it did. Okay. Now, don't forget the chicken effect. Trump will always chicken out. So remember one thing, there will be a lot of posturing, there will be a lot of muscle generating activities and so on. There will be no attempt to actually evade Venezuela. It's not going to happen. And one of the reasons is that they're already Russian, C-300 and C-400. And I mean, C-300, 400 are obsolete weapons. They're coming from the last century, but they're still effective. They can still kill the Americans, their aircrafts, and so on. Does, what's his name, Donald Trump really need it? If he wants to get a Nobel Peace Prize, so he will attack Venezuela? Bye-bye, Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, let's talk about, you mentioned the Gulf War of 1991, which was a great war. So Saddam Hussein sends Iraq in, takes over Kuwait. The U.S. forms an alliance with more than 20 countries. They set up overwhelming force on in the air and on the land, and they had a clear objective of getting Iraq out of Kuwait. The ground war took 4 days, overwhelming force, clear objective, and then we got the hell out. It was a great limited war. Trump, the dumbest president in U.S. history, has no clear objective except covering his ass and creating more confusion.
It sounds like he's trying to cover his ass and create more confusion and everything like that. There's no doubt about that's what he's trying to do. By the way, one of his other favorite people, and you'll love this one, Kristi Noem is in the news because apparently, you know, we had this whole government shutdown and she gave out $10,000 checks to some TSA agents who worked throughout the government shutdown. So they got a $10,000 bonus check, you know, what the criteria were.
It was like a little bit like a lottery or a game show. Yeah.
And it was run like a game show?
Because not every TSA employee got a $10,000 bonus. It was just like she picked like a dozen out of the thousands of TSA employees. She's like, here you go. Here's just, we just randomly picked you.
So you're saying that they put on a big show to try and fool people into thinking that they were actually doing something good when they're really not. They're just putting on a show.
They were doing something good. They were rewarding very strong employees. There's nothing wrong with that.
What about the
bonuses?
What about the other?
You know which ones got the award and how did they get the award?
Hey, listen, all the people on SNAP benefits get rewarded. Why not give rewards for people who are working? What do you have a problem with that?
The other TSA agents that were working, what about them? They did not receive them. That is what
maybe they didn't qualify for the award. I mean, when it comes to bonuses, it's very discretionary. You know, so the thing is, we got awards. I don't know why you have problem rewarding good employees.
But it sounds like it was a random award. You know? Like, how did they pick the people?
You know, it could have been. But I mean, Mark, a lot of life is random. I'm sorry. We have things called lotteries here in the United States.
Award for if it was a random draw.
Have you heard of lotteries, guys?
So
you know what a lottery is?
Putting on a show to say you're doing something. You're drawing random names.
No,
Well,
okay,
that
so
Hold on a second.
They won the lottery. I don't know why you have a problem
Well,
with it.
speaking of shows, I got a
problem
question.
with
Bert.
Hold on,
I got-
Rick, what did you find out?
it's not random. The bonus supposedly went to TSA officers who demonstrated exemplary service, who took on extra shifts, or who consistently showed up to work.
So what about the ones who could not go to work because they did not have money for gas, or they did not have money for actual?
Well, I don't freaking know
Why are you
who
such a Debbie Downer?
It was a random draw.
You know, here they did something good. Why don't you just say, Donald, you actually did something good. I'm proud of you.
What about the people?
Repeat after me.
Sasha,
Donald,
and,
you
hold on a
did
second.
Who could not
Hold on.
actually
I got
go
a question
to
for
work
Sasha.
because they
I'm
did
here
not
to switch
have money,
topics.
did not have actual
Okay.
money to pay for to get their kids to school, so they had to take off. So what about those individuals? They weren't.
Jatobi, repeat after me. Donald, you did something good. I'm proud of you. Jatobi, try this one. Donald, you did something good. I'm proud of you.
Donald,
Nick, how
stay
you
away from little kids.
how
Donald,
you
leave little kids alone.
Donald,
Nick,
Donald,
leave
you
little
did
kids
something good. I'm
how
proud of
you
you.
how you explain recent Supreme Court 7-2 decision against Trump? How you can explain that?
Well, you know, the thing is, sometimes you win some, you lose some. Haven't you ever been to the Supreme Court? I guess you haven't, so you don't know that. I do. You win some, you lose
Part
some.
about this is Nick is drawing it.
Okay, and same with behavior. He did something good. So, Jatobi, repeat after me. Donald, you did something good.
Donald, stay away from little kids.
I'm proud of you.
Donald, stay off the Epstein Island. There you go.
Well,
Oh, you love that island, Jatobi. If you didn't have that island, I don't know if you'd have
everything like
anything
that.
to
Because I
discuss.
thought we had gotten rid of a certain type of execution, but apparently we didn't to the state to the south of me. Because later on today, South Carolina man is going to be executed by the firing squad. And speaking of other countries, I know other countries still do the firing squad, but I thought we were well past the firing squad. So we're not past the firing squad, and we're going.
Yeah, no, it's an issue because drug companies do not want to sell states with the death penalty drugs that kill people. Drug companies are in the business of saving people, so they refuse to sell death drugs to states for executions. So now states have to try all sorts of older forms of execution.
So they might have to go to what Sasha said, because I know one time Sasha was recommending guillotine.
Cruelty is the point. This whole administration has been about cruelty and what they want to do. And then on top of that, because it's so transactional, so obviously transactional, that's why the private prison business right now is skyrocketing, because of the fact the private prison industry paid money. Hence the reason they're trying to throw people in whatever jail they can. Oh, we got to fill these prisons because the private prison people paid us money.
Well,
Hey,
I think
listen, they've had firing squads before.
he's going to build a private jail just for himself. Because obviously when he will be out of presidency, he will get to jail. There is no doubt anymore about it, because it was very clear decision by Supreme Court that yes, he is not responsible for the action that he was taking as president. For all other actions, he is just as responsible as any other person. Here we go. So there are many instances, even in the resurrection on January 6th, he was not acting as the president, conniving and preparing this uprising and doing all the preparatory job. No, he's going to be sued and convicted for that, and that's a jail. And neither the special counsel or prosecutor, they will be lenient. Well, Trump, he was twice president. He was a good man. He was such a good. No, they will give him the harshest possible sentence. You will see.
That makes sense. Everything. Hey, Nick, I got a question
Calls
for
for
you. Nick, I got a
speculation.
question for you, because you're very big on to cost savings. That's what you and David talk
I
about
do.
all the time and everything like that with the government. But apparently this Trump Pentagon name, from the Department of Defense to Department of War, is going to cost the up to $2 billion. So how is this saving money? If it's going to cost up to $2 billion because we're putting the name in bronze and we're doing a bunch of other stuff. So how is this
The
saving
name in
money?
bronze. Wow. That's a lot of money, Mark. See, I wouldn't have done that. But
it was never about saving money. He's already talking about redoing another part of the White House.
I'd certainly redo the White House. I would agree with the ballroom, but I want to change the name if it costs $2 billion.
$2 billion.
Yeah, and has to allocate the funds. Congress has to allocate the funds. So if Congress is that stupid to allocate the funds, then it's on them again.
And how did he come up with? And that's another thing. This $10,000 check thing. How did he come up with the $10,000 if Congress has to allocate the money? He doesn't have.
Yeah, he doesn't. It must be in the budget of the Homeland Security somewhere. I don't know if you look at these government budgets. They're so fat that Dodge tried to get rid of the government budgets, and you can't. So the only way you can do it is get rid of the agencies. So he got rid of USAID. They're getting rid of the Department of Education, and there's a lot more cutting that needs to be done. Too bad Elon Musk isn't around.
So he got rid of USAID, which is USAID, which is killed.
Yeah, you have to get rid of all those.
Killed more than 14 million people. He's also he's trying to get rid of the U.S. Education Department of Education, which is going to harm millions of special needs individuals and kids that are out there. So yay, look at that. That's what you want, Nick. Pedophilia, harming kids, and
savings. Okay, we have
$2 billion
change.
Wow.
About one thing. Now there is a demand to produce a list of donors, how much money each one donated for this Trump's ballroom, and what they will get in exchange for their glorious donations. That's underway, and pretty soon we will hear names, private names, company names, and exactly what they get out of their investment, so-called. Of course, it's not investment. But, there must be getting something. They cannot. Well, we just get $500 million. No, we didn't get anything for it. We just gave. Whoa, interesting enough. If it's a public company, shareholders may ask. So instead of paying us dividends, you spend money for this stupid ballroom. So you got something out of it. Tell us exactly what. Nick, what are you thinking?
Okay. First of all, it's not a stupid ballroom. It is a great, grand ballroom, hopefully biggest ever ballroom to represent the power of the United States of America. Number two. Okay, there are a lot of gifts that have no strings attached. Remember Howard University. You probably guys don't know anything about it. It was recently given $80 million by Miss Scott, who used to be married to Jeff Bezos. Unrestricted gift. Then she went ahead and gave Winston-Salem State $50 million. $50 million. It's called a gift, Sasha. Detached and disinterested generosity. Now, that might be something you communists in Canada have a problem with, or you Democrats like Jacoby can't understand.
The names of the gift.
And sometimes, you know what happens on universities? All they get is their name on a wall somewhere.
What Nick will not do is answer.
I know you guys hate it. You'd rather have the government.
It's not private enterprise. It's a people's house of people of United States of America, and they
make America great again, baby. Big ballroom, biggest ever. I hope he builds the palace of Versailles.
Company's got.
Wait, how's Mar-a-Lago? Build the palace of Versailles.
Hold on,
that would be great.
Because you're just filibustering.
That would be wonderful.
One of the things that the
I'm so glad he's doing
for donating this money.
Okay.
The
Jacoby, you should say
dollars that they need for this.
Thank you, Mr. Trump, for getting private donors to build a big ballroom for us.
No matter how many times he sleeps with 14-year-olds, he's not going there. So, the thing is, what these companies got for giving this money, what the companies got for giving the money to for this ballroom were giant tax cuts that actually happened before. So in that big, beautiful bill, if you notice the big tax cut people that got giant tax cuts, these giant companies, they're also the ones that gave pennies on that dollar because they got billions in tax cuts, but gave pennies on the dollar for this ballroom. So yes, they're
that's great. So it's the least they can do is to support the U.S. government. So I'm glad you agree with me, Jacoby.
U.S. government.
So the thing is, what you need to do, Jacoby, is say thank you, Donald Trump, for building a huge ballroom and not using U.S. taxpayers.
You better use this money to pay down the debt of
Donald Trump.
$8 trillion. Cannot
Donald Trump.
the
No.
debt.
We need the big ballroom. We need the big ballroom. Okay, the ballroom is like
We don't need a ballroom.
It probably needs to be
As
bigger.
starving on the street.
It needs to be bigger than it is. You guys would want a little tiny.
Or golden
You want a tiny little ballroom that only Obama and Biden can fit in. No. We're inclusive. We want a big ballroom so we include
That's
a
why
lot.
people are starving on the streets, and you're championing a ballroom.
A big ballroom. That's great. That will actually help us out a lot because it will show the might and power of
It doesn't.
A ballroom is going to show the might
I
and
can't
power.
wait till it's built. Then I'll go to Washington, D.C., buy my place there and have a great time. And forget these tiny little ballrooms like you have in Canada or whatever you have. Do you guys even have a ballroom in Canada? Because when you're inviting foreign dignitaries around the world, you have to show them the might and power of the American government. You can't say, hey, I have this little shack. I have an outhouse we can meet in. Would you like to meet in an outhouse in Washington, D.C.?
The interesting part.
You don't meet in an outhouse.
This is where we started. Nick used to be this highly respected lawyer, but now he's justifying pedophilia. Okay, with millions of now he's begging for Donald Trump to invite him to a ballroom that he'll never see in 10 years, in the 5 to 10 years before it's actually fully built. So this is where we are. Nick begging for
sorry guys, the ballroom is a government function because your idea of inviting
not a government function.
You can imagine inviting President Xi
I don't know what you're talking about
in Washington, D.C.
That's ridiculous.
I think what should happen when the Democrats get back in office, we should buy an outhouse in the outskirts of Washington, D.C. until President Harris meets President Xi in the outhouse. Not the White House, the outhouse. That would be perfect. So, as you guys know, your position sucks, which is typical for liberal positions. And the thing is, what's really good is to actually have.
Wait a second. The position stinks. How does the position stink? You're saying that being against pedophilia is a stinky position?
Big. We're talking about ballroom. I don't know why you're hooked on pedophilia. You must have an issue there. I suggest you see somebody. You see somebody, Jacoby, because I don't have the issue over
You're the one that brought it up, Nick.
We're talking about ballroom.
For about 20 minutes.
Having ball before the room is
hold on a second, because we're getting ready to go to his show in a few minutes. But what is your take, Sasha, on what's going on? Because apparently things have intensified in Ukraine. I understand that a city you love dearly, Kyiv, was attacked brutally yesterday and everything. So is we seeing an intensity in the war in Ukraine?
Yes, the war is intensified because of Trump's inability and his demeanor, where he wants actually Putin at the end of the day to be successful, because that's his body, that's what he wants to deal with. And Ukraine is kind of a nonsense that somehow have to be dealt. So Trump recently said, well, let them fight and see who is. He's not taking into account that Russia was aggressor. It's a much bigger country. And instead of putting coalition to defend Ukraine, as US did with Kuwait 30-some years ago, here he is taking, well, I'm unable to do it. Well, I was joking. I was sarcastical. That's what he said when I said that it's 24 hours he will end the war. Okay, the war, Ukraine will win anyway, despite of what's happening today, because all Europe depends on Ukraine. Without Ukraine, Europe is unable to defend itself against Russia. It's very clear. It's obvious. Even take Germany and Poland, and I'll tell you what's a huge difference between two countries. Poland is now preparing a full-scale war against Russia. They have a partial mobilization. They have the people who are coming to serve, even if they're older than 50 years and even 55. So they're fully preparing for war. Now in Germany, situation is very different. They are making referendums of whether the Germans want to fight the war, and 90%, let's not be surprised, saying, no, we don't want to fight the war. Now, so how come in Poland everybody wants to fight the war, and in Germany, not so? Remember that majority of population of Germany who could serve in the army by age and other characteristics, and they are not real Germans. They are people who came to Germany from Africa, from Asia, from Turkey, from wherever. And these people didn't come to Germany to fight for Germany. No, they're getting social assistance, which allows them a wonderful lifestyle and no need to fight. In Poland is different. Poland is, remember, for Poles only. So the country is homogeneous. They have the same language, the same customs, the same religions, everything the same. And all country is going to fight Russia if and when that will happen. Germany, absolutely not there. And neither any, except Finland and Sweden, perhaps, there are no European countries that would be ready to fight Russians. Baltic states, yes, but they're too small. And frankly, I don't think that their resistance will mean anything. And relying on NATO is useless because U.S. is a traitor of NATO. They want to send some products to NATO for the money only, and that's what they are. So the sooner the Ukraine and NATO will get rid of U.S., the better.
That makes sense. We're getting ready to wind down and everything like that. I did have a quick question for you because I know we've got a rerun of the Ukraine show. I did see your note and everything like that, so I'm actually putting that in right there. But just really quickly, I saw the Walmart CEO is going to retire. Is that going to impact their stock? Because I also know you do modern investment, so I just saw that come down my news front. So is that going to impact their stock at all? Because they are a popular company.
You know, it may affect stock one way or another, but it's other overall directions of the market that what will more affect Walmart price, stock price than anything else. Because let's see, if you put a genius at the head of Walmart, what drastically he can do different from his predecessors? What exactly he can do? Very little, if anything. So this is why it's a strategy of overall. For example, if I would choose between two stocks, Walmart and Costco, I would choose Costco to buy, not Walmart.
That makes sense. And I know a lot of people that are fans of Costco and Sam's, those discount stores, and I actually have fans in my family that are very much fans of those. But on that note, we're getting ready to get on out of here. I'll see you for the chess recording at 12, and I've already got the rerun going right now. So I'll see you at 12 o'clock with the chess show.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Take it easy.